Revelation was written by the Apostle John about 96 CE while he was in exile on the island of Patmos. The book of Revelation is closely linked to the first book of the Bible, Genesis. Genesis tells us how paradise was lost. Revelation tells us how paradise will be regained. Revelation can be viewed as being divided into 16 visions, covering 22 chapters. In chapters 1 to 3, John is told to write messages to 7 congregations, which are in Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. In chapters 4 and 5, John sees a vision of Jehovah on his throne. God hands a scroll sealed with 7 seals to the Lamb, who is the glorified Christ. In chapter 6, Jesus breaks open 6 of the seals. As he breaks open the first 4 seals, 4 symbolic horsemen ride forth. The rides of the last 3 result in war, famine, and death. In chapter 7, John observes 4 angels holding back the winds of destruction until all spiritual Israelites are sealed. The apostle also sees an innumerable, multinational crowd that has come out of the Great Tribulation. Did you know? At Genesis 3:15, God foretold that the offspring of a symbolic woman would crush the head of the serpent that induced Adam and Eve to rebel against God. Revelation exposes that original serpent as Satan the devil, who used a snake to incite the rebellion in Eden. The symbolic woman's offspring proved to be primarily the Messianic King Jesus Christ. Others were foretold to rule with him in heaven. Revelation says that these co-rulers would number 144,000. In chapters 8 and 9, the Lamb opens the 7th seal. John sees 7 angels with 7 trumpets. The trumpet blasts announce expressions of God's judgment on mankind. In chapters 10 and 11, a strong angel gives John a little scroll, which he is commanded to eat. John is then told to measure the temple sanctuary, after which he observes the experiences of God's 2 witnesses. Then the 7th angel blows his trumpet, and loud voices announce, "The kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Christ." In chapter 12, John observes the birth of a son, who is quickly taken away to God and to his throne, and the hurling of Satan and his angels to the earth. Then, in chapter 13, John sees fearsome beasts that dominate mankind. Chapter 14 shows the Lamb standing on Mount Zion with the 144,000. In chapters 15 and 16, 7 angels pour out God's anger on the earth by means of 7 golden bowls. Here we learn that God's great war against the nations will be fought at a symbolic place called Armageddon. Chapters 17 and 18 describe a drunken prostitute called Babylon the Great, who is riding a scarlet-colored wild beast. However, the beast, with its 10 horns, turns on the prostitute and devastates her. In chapter 19, John sees Jesus and his heavenly armies annihilate the wicked. The final 3 visions contained in chapters 20 to 22 describe the abyssing of Satan, the 1,000-year reign of Christ, the earthly resurrection, and the everlasting destruction of both human and spirit rebels. John also sees the glorious New Jerusalem and a river of water of life flowing out from the throne of God and of the Lamb, The banks of the river are lined with trees of life. As you read the book of Revelation, note how the complete fulfillment of God's promise at Genesis 3:15 is described in prophetic visions. See how God, by means of Christ, will remove all wickedness. And see how Jehovah's will is going to be done forever on earth as it is in heaven, thanks to God's kingdom.